This happened a few months ago. I needed a break. I felt buried under work. So, I decided to go camping in West Virginia. I wanted a remote spot where I could find some peace. I had camped before, but this time felt different. I arrived at my campsite as the sun sank low. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that made you listen hard. The trees swayed gently. The air was damp, and I could hear a nearby creek. While I unpacked, I noticed lights flickering in the sky. They danced above the treetops. I thought it was just fireflies or maybe the fading light. I shook off my unease and finished setting up. That first night, I relaxed beside the creek. It felt great to be away from the noise of my life. But when I crawled back into my tent, the lights were still there, stronger now. Shadows shifted, colors blended. I felt a chill. I tried to tell myself it was all in my head. I closed my eyes, hoping sleep would come, but every night grew worse. The lights pulsed brighter, and I heard whispers. At first, it was a soft murmur riding the wind. Unintelligible words pressed into my mind. I thought lack of sleep was affecting me. Every cool breeze felt like something was lurking just outside my tent. I started taking photos, wanting proof of the lights. Each time, when I pressed the shutter, the lights would change or disappear. That was unsettling. I realized this wasn't just a camping trip anymore. I felt something was wrong, really wrong. The final night, I decided to pack up and leave early. My heart raced as I stuffed my gear into my car. I thought maybe one more night would help. But I couldn't shake the fear. I looked up one last time. The lights flashed brightly. They danced erratically, pulling me in. I wanted to run, but I stood frozen. Then a whisper tore through the silence. Laura. It was my name, clear as day. My pulse quickened. Panic pushed me back toward my car. I could see it was really there, but I didn't want to see it. I threw myself into my driver's seat and started the engine. I drove away without looking back. Now it's months later, and I can't forget that night. The lights, the whispers, my mind keeps circling back. What happened out there? I still wonder what it all meant. I often think about going back, but the fear pulls me away. I can't shake the feeling that something was waiting for me. Why did I think I could go camping alone? I still replay that night, hoping for some understanding. But all I have is more questions. It was a Saturday when I decided to finally confront the memories. I took a hike down a familiar trail near my home. I thought the woods would offer some clarity. It was mid-morning, the sun filtering through the trees. The chirping of birds brought a sense of normalcy. I had been avoiding nature since my trip, but I needed a reset. As I walked, the air felt heavy. I passed a familiar clearing, a spot I once found peaceful. But today was different. The shadows seemed darker. I felt like someone was watching me. I dismissed the thought, shaking my head. Still, I quickened my pace. Then I noticed something on the ground, an unusual stone. It was smooth and round, larger than a golf ball, with strange markings on it. I bent down, examining it closely. The symbols were unfamiliar, like nothing I had ever seen before. My heart raced. Something instinctual in me told me to leave it alone. Yet, curiosity pulled me and I picked it up. It was cool to the touch. Instantly, a wave of unease washed over me. As if in response, a distant sound echoed through the trees, a low hum that grew louder. Panic struck me like lightning. The hum reminded me of the whispers I heard at the campsite, intertwining with the fear I had buried for months. I dropped the stone and turned to run. I pushed myself faster, branches scratching my arms. The hum grew, bursting into a fixed pitch. It stopped me in my tracks just outside the clearing. I looked back. The stone lay there, and I swear I saw a flash of light from its surface. I had to get back to my car. Suddenly, the forest felt alive, teeming with shadows that danced between the trees. My mind raced. What would happen if I returned to West Virginia? Was there a connection? I felt it, deep in my gut, an urgency pulling me back. I stumbled through the underbrush and reached my car, gasping. I slammed the door shut, leaned back against the seat, and closed my eyes. I tried to convince myself I was safe, that it was nothing more than a bad memory. But why did it all feel so real? Why did the stone spark that fear so intensely? That night, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched again. Lights flickered outside my window. I held my breath, needing to know if I was imagining things. I peeked out, but only darkness greeted me. After a few moments, I convinced myself it was just my imagination and turned away. Then, I heard it again, my name, soft but undeniable. Laura! My heart dropped, crashing against my ribs. I grabbed my phone, but sending a text felt useless. I felt a magnetic pull to go outside. I hesitated, fighting against that urge. The whispers echoed in my mind now, overlapping like an echo bouncing through the trees. I had a choice to make, one that sank deeply into my bones. I could either face my fear or let it consume me. The decision hung in the air as I stood frozen at the door. Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in my house. The sound of rustling leaves and distant whispers engulfed me, drowning out the memory of the suffocating darkness. I stood in the clearing, the very spot I had fled moments before. Confusion twisted through me. How had I returned? I stepped back, instinctively searching for the stone. But it was gone. The air was thick with an electric tension, and the shadows danced once again, closing in around me. The sound of the low hum pulsed through the trees, and I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I had to get out of there. Just as I turned to run, a flash of light erupted from the corner of my eye. It glinted between the branches, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. I hesitated. This was madness. But the pull was undeniable. I stepped forward, trying to understand the source of the light. My heart raced with every cautious step, the hum fading into a soft whisper that seemed to call my name. Laura! As I pushed deeper into the woods, I caught sight of something glimmering on the forest floor, a familiar shape. I crouched, heart in my throat, as I picked up another stone, this one even smoother, glistening under the faint light. My fingers traced over the markings, feeling a sickening familiarity. It was identical to the one I had found earlier, but this one radiated warmth. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the trees. I jolted upright, dropping the stone. My instinct was to run, but I found myself frozen. Shadows deepened around me as if they were alive, swirling and stretching. The air prickled with energy as I caught movement, something darting between the trees. Was it a person? I couldn't tell. All I could see was a blur. A cold sweat enveloped me. I needed to leave. My feet finally responded, pounding against the earth. Branches snagged at my clothes, but adrenaline pushed me onward. I didn't look back until I reached the edge of the woods. I burst into the open, gasping for breath. The sky was heavy with dark clouds, and the air crackled. Flashes of light shot through the clouds, illuminating the landscape for a split second. I squinted, trying to discern shapes in the distance. That's when I saw it, a silhouette against the stormy sky, hovering above the treetops. I felt an instinctual chill race through me. Whatever that was, it wasn't right. Anxiety clawed at my insides. I needed answers, but questions piled up faster than I could process. Who was in the woods? What were the stones? Why did I keep finding them? Then, as I turned to escape the open space, I heard it again, my name, clearer this time, laden with urgency. Laura! The voice was mixed with the sound of the hum, an eerie harmony that sent shivers down my spine. Before I could react, the figure above shifted. Light burst from it in a radiant wave, flooding the area around me. I shielded my eyes, feeling the heat pulse against my skin. All choices vanished as I stood, anchored in place, engulfed by uncertainty and fear. The voice called again, and I took a step forward, drawn into the light. Just one more step, and then I fell. I landed hard on something cool and soft. My breaths came in quick gasps as I scrambled to my feet. The ground beneath me felt like moss, damp and uneven. I blinked, trying to adjust to the sudden change in surroundings, and the first thing I noticed was the light. It was everywhere, pulsing, flickering, and swirling like fireflies on a summer night. The colors shifted from brilliant gold to a deep indigo. I was no longer outside. Some sort of canopy surrounded me, glowing with an unearthly radiance. Panic set in. This couldn't be real. I had to be dreaming. Laura, the voice echoed again, but this time it was warmer, more inviting. I turned toward it, looking for the source amid the spectral glow. Despite my apprehension, curiosity tugged at me, and I took a tentative step forward. As I moved, the light flickered in response, guiding me deeper into the vibrant space. Gradually, I made out forms, figures gliding through the luminescence, their features obscured but undeniably human. Were they like me? Or something else entirely? A sudden rush of uncertainty hit me. I thought about the stone, the way it felt in my hand, and how it had led me here. Had I activated some sort of portal? My mind raced with questions I couldn't shake. I needed to know where I was and how to get back. I called out, "Is anyone there?" My voice felt small amidst the brilliance. The figures paused. One step closer, the glow around it intensifying. As it emerged from the shadows, I could see a face, smooth skin, and luminous eyes that sparkled like stars. I stumbled back, startled. It wasn't a person. Or maybe it was, but different somehow. "Do not fear," the figure spoke, its voice ethereal. "We've been waiting for you." I frowned, my heart pounding. "Waiting for me? Why? Who are you?" The figure extended a hand, sparkling with light. I wanted to trust it, but caution held me back. "We are the keepers of the stones. You have been chosen." "Chosen for what?" My voice was thick with confusion. The keeper smiled, but I sensed a deeper struggle behind its gaze. "To balance the energies. The world is in turmoil, and the stones hold the power to restore it." Just as I was about to respond, I heard a loud crash reverberate outside this strange realm, startling everyone around me. The keeper's expression shifted from calm to alarm. "They have found you." "Who?" I felt my blood go cold. "Those who seek the stones for their own purposes. You must hurry." Before I could comprehend, the light around me pulsed violently, flashing and dimming erratically. I felt a firm grip on my arm, and in an instant, everything spun, colors blurring into one. When the chaos settled, I found myself back in the clearing, the night sky above me now black and still, but I wasn't alone. A shadow loomed beside me, tall and uncertain. I turned slowly, dread pooling in my stomach. The figure from before had followed me. "We need to move," it said urgently. I wanted to ask so many questions, but all I could think about was how to escape whatever darkness was closing in. The figure shifted closer, and I could see the urgency etched in its glowing eyes. "They track the stones by your energy. If we stay here, we want to be safe." "Who are they?" I asked, every muscle in my body tense. The clearing felt too still now, like a trap waiting to spring. "There isn't time for that," it replied, glancing back as if sensing something behind us. "We have to move. Follow me." I nodded, instinct overriding my desire to understand. I took a step, then another, trying hard not to look over my shoulder. The woods felt different, the darkness pressing in around us, thick with an unknown threat. We hurried deeper into the trees, the shadows stretching along the ground like grasping fingers. I could feel a chill creeping into my bones. Every rustle of leaves made me jump, every snap of a twig sent a jolt of fear through me. I felt as if the very night was alive, watching us. "Is this really happening?" I whispered, trying to catch my breath. "It's all real. You cannot escape the truth," the keeper said, its voice steady but low. "The stone you carry is a beacon. It connects you to the other world." I brushed my fingers against the pocket where the stone lay. "What do you mean? What is it?" The figure slowed down, watching me closely. "The stone holds an ancient power. It brings balance to realms, but it can also wreak havoc if it falls into the wrong hands. That is what they want." We reached a narrow path, overgrown and winding. The keeper looked back nervously, as if sensing a presence. "This way," it urged, gesturing for me to follow. As we moved along the path, I could see faint movements in the treetops ahead, shadows shifting in the gloom. I felt a cold rush of panic. Are they coming after us? How do we know? The keeper's eyes grew wide. We have to reach the circle before they do. Circle? I stammered, not even sure what that meant. I wanted to demand an explanation, but the urgency in its voice urged me onward. We picked up speed, but the ground was uneven, roots snaking across our path. I struggled to keep pace. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the trees, and I froze, my heart racing like a wild animal. Run! The keeper shouted, and I didn't need to be told twice. We bolted down the path, branches snapping underfoot. I could hear something behind us, a deep growl, and instinct kicked in. We raced forward, stumbling through the underbrush, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Just a little further! The keeper pointed ahead, where a faint, flickering light began to shine through the dense foliage. In that moment, I realized I would rather face anything than stay in the dark. Just as I thought we might reach safety, the shadow loomed closer. I glanced back, dread pooling in my stomach. Get to the light! I heard it shout, and I pushed myself harder. But then everything went dark again. A figure stepped from behind a tree, blocking our path. I froze, seeing the outline of someone or something waiting for us. My blood ran cold. The keeper's grip tightened around my arm. No! Not now! My pulse raced. What do we do? And that was when I realized the stone in my pocket was glowing, pulsing with light, resonating with my fear. It felt alive. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but whatever it was, I had no choice but to find out. The figure stepped forward, revealing a tall, shadowy form cloaked in darkness. Its face was hidden, but an unsettling aura radiated from it. My heart pounded loudly, drowning out my thoughts. The keeper tightened its grip on my arm, pulling me slightly behind it, as if my safety depended on its presence. Who are you? I shouted, more defiance than courage. A small part of me hoped my voice wouldn't crack. The shadows shifted, and I caught a glimpse of eyes glinting like shards of glass. You cannot stop what is coming, it rasped, its voice low and chilling. The stone belongs to us. We want to give it to you. The keeper's voice was fierce, but I could tell it was keeping fear at bay. I glanced at the stone in my pocket. It pulsed again, the light growing brighter, as if responding to the tension building between us. I was torn. On one hand, the keeper had said it was a beacon of power, but on the other, something about our pursuer filled me with dread. Step aside, keeper, the shadow demanded, raising a hand. This is not your fight. No! I yelled, stepping forward. I didn't know what I was doing, but I couldn't let this thing take me or the stone away. It felt like a part of me now. The keeper hesitated, then turned to me, eyes wide. You don't know what you're doing. But the shadow smiled, a smile that twisted and twisted more than it should have. Ah, the chosen one, defending your prize. How noble. I took a deep breath, feeling a surge of warmth from the stone. My whispered question came pouring out. What do you want with it? Our plans require the stone's energy. With it, we will open the gates to seize power across realms. My thoughts raced. The keeper had spoken of balance, of goodness. Was this shadow part of the chaos it warned about? You want to open anything? I shouted, more bravado than belief. With a flick of its wrist, shadows shot toward me like tendrils. I flinched, but the keeper stepped between us, raising an arm as if to shield me. The shadows recoiled, hissing as they faded back. I felt a warmth envelop me, as if the stone's energy was responding defensively. This cannot end well, the keeper whispered, glancing back at me. We need to leave. Now. But I stood there, uncertain. Then I saw something in the shadows shift again. More figures were emerging, their forms indistinct but growing clearer. A chill gripped me. We were no longer alone. Leave the stone or face the consequences, the first shadow warned, its voice dripping with malice. An idea flared to life. I could feel the power of the stone coursing through me. No, I said, resolute. You'll have to take me first. The keeper looked at me in shock. What are you doing? We can't fight, just trust me. I interrupted. In that moment, the stone flared brightly, its light bursting forth like a beacon. I closed my eyes, focusing on the energy within, willing it to radiate even brighter. Suddenly, the woods around us shimmered as light shot through the darkness, and then I heard it a deafening roar, not from us but from the shadows that surrounded us. It broke my concentration, and I staggered back as darkness swelled around me. "Grab my hand!" the keeper shouted, but parts of the world felt so fragile, like they were shattering around me. Just as I reached for it, everything went pitch black again. The last thing I heard was the echo of that monstrous roar, then silence, and I had no idea where I was. I blinked awake in a cold sweat. The ground beneath me felt rough and mossy, and the scent of damp earth filled my nose. I sat up quickly, my heart racing. I was alone. No keeper. No shadows. Where am I? I looked around. The woods were strange and unfamiliar, but there was a faint luminescence cutting through the darkness. I stood up, brushing off dirt from my clothes. My thoughts raced. Had the shadows taken me? Had I been dreaming? As I moved, the glowing light caught my eye. It shimmered ahead, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. My body moved almost instinctively toward it, curiosity winning over caution. It felt like a piece of the stone was still reaching for me, guiding me. I pushed through the underbrush, following the glow. It led me to a clearing. The light was coming from a cluster of stones, larger than the one I had. They were arranged in a circle, illuminated by an unnatural shimmer that danced across their surface. I hesitated. What if this was another trap? The memory of the shadow flashed in my mind, its voice echoing the promise of power. But the calling of the light felt different. It was warm, inviting. I stepped closer, drawn to it. When I reached the edge of the stones, I knelt down to inspect them. They were etched with strange symbols, swirling patterns that radiated a sense of tranquility, unlike the chaos I'd just faced. Then I heard them. Quiet whispers, words overlapping like the soft rustling of leaves. I strained to listen. "Keeper," the stone fine. The words faded in and out, the meaning just beyond my grasp. Was this the keeper's way of guiding me? I felt more than ever that time was of the essence. If the shadows were still looking for the stone, I needed to understand what these markings meant. Suddenly, a movement caught my eye from the edge of the clearing. My breath hitched in my throat as I turned. A figure emerged from the trees, a woman, her hair wild and tangled, her clothing odd, like something from a different time. "Who are you?" I asked, instinctively backing away. She raised her hands, palms out. "I mean no harm. The keeper sent me." My heart skipped. "You know the keeper?" "Yes." "You're in grave danger," she said. "The shadows have found a way to siphon the power from the stone. If they get their hands on it." Her voice trailed off, but the implication was clear. "Where is the keeper?" I asked, panic rising again. "Fighting them," she replied. "But if we don't move quickly, it won't matter." Before I could respond, the air shifted. An ominous chill filtered through the clearing, and shadows began creeping around the edge of the stones. I felt the weight of their presence pressing against me. "Follow me," she urged, darting back into the trees. I hesitated for just a split second, but a surge of urgency pulled me forward. The woods darkened further as the shadows advanced. That's when I saw it, an outline of a figure just behind her. A dark shape slipping through the trees, moving silently but with intent. Suddenly, I realized we weren't alone after all. I sprinted after her, urgency and fear driving me onward. I pushed through the underbrush, following the woman's frantic movements. The shadows rustled behind me, their presence becoming more palpable with every step. I glanced back and saw the dark figure I had noticed before. It was gaining on us, a chill gnawing at my spine. "Keep moving!" the woman shouted over her shoulder, her voice tense but determined. I didn't need telling twice. As we raced deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to close in around us, their branches stretching and clawing like skeletal hands. The light from the stones rapidly faded, replaced by thick darkness. I struggled to keep pace, my legs heavy with unease. Behind us, the whispers of the shadows grew louder. They sounded like laughter, mocking and sinister. What's your name? I shouted, hoping to distract myself from the chase. Alicia, she replied, darting across a fallen log. And you need to trust me. I know a way out. Out? Out of what? The questions swirled through my mind, but I couldn't afford to get lost in them now. The dark figure loomed closer, blending into the shadows like a predator stalking its prey. I pushed forward, adrenaline coursing through me, but the uneven ground made my footing unstable. A root snagged my foot, and I stumbled, catching myself just in time. My breath came in sharp gasps, the icy air filling my lungs. I couldn't fall behind. Alicia glanced back, her eyes wide with urgency. This way. She veered off the path into a thicket. I hesitated, but her fear was contagious. I followed her lead, ducking beneath branches and weaving through brush. We emerged into a small clearing, lit by an eerie phosphorescence that flickered like fireflies. It felt like a safe haven, a stark contrast to the menacing shadows lurking just outside. What is this place? I asked, trying to catch my breath. This is the heart of the forest, Alicia said, her face illuminated by the glow. The stones are connected to this land. If we can harness their power, we might have a chance. My heart sank when I heard that. But the shadows thrive on fear and chaos, she interrupted. They want the stone. If we can disrupt their connection. Before she finished, a chilling wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing the light. The shadows surged forward, their shapes twisting and writhing as they closed in around us. I felt a surge of panic as they moved closer, their whispers drowning out all thought. Alicia! I cried in fear, scanning the darkness for any sign of escape. That way! She shouted, pointing to a narrow path barely visible in the darkness. We raced toward it, but a sudden rush of cold air slammed into us, pushing us back. I collided with Alicia, both of us stumbling. I turned, and there it was. The figure was right in front of me now, its features obscured by darkness but unmistakably human. Stop, it hissed, and I felt its gaze pin me in place. It was then I realized that we were out of options. The shadows pressed in around us, their laughter echoing in my ears. How had it come to this? Just as fear consumed me, Alicia shoved me forward. Go! Find the keeper! I hesitated for a split second, but as the figure lunged, something shifted inside me. I didn't have time to think. I sprinted down the path she indicated, leaving her behind. I couldn't look back. All I could do was run. The ground felt uneven beneath my feet as I sprinted through the darkness. The cold air whipped past me, tightening around my chest. I pushed myself harder, desperate to escape the grasping shadows that seemed to reach out eagerly for me. The path twisted and turned, branches grabbed at my clothes, and roots tried to trip me up. My heart raced. I could feel the presence behind me, closing in like an invisible army. Alicia had said to find the keeper. But who or what was the keeper? As I dodged yet another low branch, the darkness around me suddenly shifted. In the distance, I caught a glimpse of a light flickering, a beacon in the overwhelming blackness. I had to reach it. In that moment, it felt like my lifeline. Urgency surged through me as I changed direction, heading toward the light. The shadows hissed behind me, their whispers growing loud again. Run faster! They seemed to taunt, their voices a ghostly chorus. I broke through a thick curtain of leaves and stumbled into a wider clearing. The light was brighter now, almost blinding. In the center stood an ancient stone structure, towering and inscribed with markings that shimmered faintly. I skidded to a halt, taking in the sight before me. The keeper had to be nearby. Before I could think, I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the vastness of the forest. No response came. A shiver ran down my spine as I sensed the shadows pulling at the edges of the clearing. I backed up instinctively toward the stone structure, its surface cool against my skin. I reached out to touch it, and as my fingers grazed the stone, a warm pulse radiated through me, a stark contrast to the chill that clung to my bones. Is this it? I breathed, half to myself. If the stone was the source of power, maybe I could turn back the shadows. Just as that thought took root, I heard a deep voice echo through the clearing. You seek the keeper? I jumped, spinning to face the source. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, its features shadowy but unmistakably human. You have come seeking what is lost. Yes. I gasped, my heart racing. Please, tell me how to stop them. Fear feeds them, the figure replied. You must confront that which you dread. Only then can light dispel the darkness. My throat tightened at the implication. Confront my fear? Wasn't he running from it enough? But before I could voice my doubts, the shadows surged forward, breaking away from their lurking spots, coiling like smoke around my ankles. I took a step back, panic threatening to swallow me whole. What do I do? I cried. The keeper raised a hand as if to calm me. Believe in the light within you. It is the only key. Just then, more shadows erupted from the trees, their forms contorting into anguished faces. I felt my breath hitch as fear grasped me once more. What did that even mean, believe in the light? Suddenly, a sharp pain gripped my heart. I clutched my chest, feeling the shadows pull me closer, their whispers now morphing into screams. And in that moment of despair, I had a choice: succumb to the darkness or fight. I closed my eyes, summoning every ounce of courage I had left. The light within me, had I ever truly believed in it? I had to try. As I took a deep breath, I felt something shift inside. When I opened my eyes again, I was ready to face what lay ahead. But then everything went dark. I awoke once more, but this time, the air felt different. Cool and still, like the calm after a storm. I sat up slowly, my surroundings clearer now. The clearing, the ancient stones, they were all around me, untouched, almost waiting. Intense silence enveloped the space as I caught my breath, heart racing. The last thing I remembered, the shadow advancing, the urgency in the keeper's voice. Had it really happened? I looked around again, scanning for any sign of the keeper, or shadows, or the figure that had confronted me. Nothing. Just the towering stones, glowing faintly in the twilight. Panic surged as I stumbled to my feet. Was I truly alone? Then I heard a rustle, faint but unmistakable. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to face the direction of the noise. It could be danger, it could be salvation. Before I could decide, the shadows lurked at the periphery of my vision again, shifting with sinister intent. Laura. The voice was a whisper, weaving through the trees, pulling me toward it. I hesitated for a moment, skepticism clouding my judgment. Who's there? I called out, straining to hear a response. My body was tense, fear coiling tightly inside me. But the loneliness in the clearing gnawed at me. I needed answers. Then I saw her. Alicia step carefully into view, her wild hair illuminated by the fading light. You found me, she said softly, relief flooding her voice. I was so afraid you wouldn't make it. But the keeper? The shadows? My thoughts tumbled out, desperate for clarity. The keeper is safe for now, she answered, her gaze darting to the darkening forest. But they will come. They're drawn to the stones and to you. I recollected the pulse of energy I felt radiating from the stone in my pocket. Something inside me awakened at her words. What do we need to do? Alicia stepped closer. Trust the light, remember? You've touched the stones, you've shared in their power. You have to connect with them, embrace them if you want to stop the shadows. I took a deep breath. The stones pulsed around me, their glow beckoning. But how? Focus, she instructed. Close your eyes. Picture the darkness that fears you the moments you've faced it before. It's that energy you have to confront. I hesitated but nodded. Closing my eyes, I recalled the whispers at the campsite, the terror of the shadows closing in, the swirling chaos surrounding me. I took in every ounce of fear I'd felt, letting it wash over me like a tide. Then I did something I'd never dared. I faced it. In my mind, those dark forms morphed into familiar faces, memories spun with threads of doubt and insecurity. All of it spiraled within me, and in a moment of clarity, I realized they were just shadows, not my reality. Just like the voices, they were echoes of my past fears. I pushed through that veil, Suddenly, warmth flooded my senses, light exploding against the darkness. Now! Let it shine! Alicia's excited shout drew my attention back to the moment. I opened my eyes, and the ancient stones were glowing fiercely, illuminating the clearing with brilliant energy as shadows hissed and recoiled under its brilliance. Feel it! Alicia shouted, and I held out my hands, channeling everything I had into the luminous energy that enveloped me. It was warm, soothing, and countless shades danced around me, harmonizing with the pulse of light. In an instant, darkness writhed and twisted in our vicinity. They can't! I began, but the shadows reached as if trying to claim the light for their own. I clenched my teeth, eyes focused on the swarm. Now push it away! Alicia encouraged, her eyes glistening with determination. The shadows screeched and writhed as I concentrated, affirming my will against their presence. I released the energy in an intense wave, and it surged towards the darkness like a mighty tide. It was chaos. Flashing lights, echoing voices, the shadows screamed louder, and I could feel their tendrils trying to reclaim the energy of the stone, but I pressed on. You don't own me! I yelled, throwing the light back at them. In response, brilliant tendrils of energy shot from me, engulfing the shadows. One final roar echoed, a sound so piercing it could shatter glass. When the dust settled, the clearing felt different, lighter, the weight of fear lifting. I looked around, panting, adrenaline still coursing through my veins. The shadows receded, melting into the depths of the forest, leaving a stillness that felt peaceful. Did we? I started, glancing at Alicia. Perhaps. For now. She smiled softly, eyes reflecting the fading light from the stones. But the struggle isn't over. They will return. They always do. So what now? I glanced at the circle of stones, still pulsing with a gentle glow. Alicia shrugged, concern weighing in her gaze. We rebuild. We find the others. We're not alone in this fight. I looked out into the woods, where the darkness had lingered just moments before. Unanswered questions washed over me like an unending tide. And what about the keeper? Maybe they'll find their way back. Or maybe they're holding off the worst of it, Alicia replied. A hint of fear remained in her voice. I sighed, feeling the heavy burden of uncertainty settling in. I still don't understand any of this. Why were they drawn to me? For a brief moment, she didn't answer. The light from the stones illuminated her features, softening the worry etched in her expression. Perhaps some questions aren't meant to be answered just yet. The air still felt charged, thumping with pulses of energy. A part of me yearned to dive back into the mysteries, to rediscover the power I had unwittingly wielded. Maybe we were destined to stand against it, I mused, standing taller in resolve. Alicia nodded, and together we turned towards the path leading deeper into the woods. The future remained uncertain, but I knew I had choices ahead, and maybe this time, I'd choose to walk into the light. As we ventured forth, silently acknowledging that the shadows could still linger, I realized some questions might never find answers, but perhaps it was the journey that mattered most, the light despite the darkness. I moved forward into the unknown, ready to confront whatever lay ahead.